And once again, for me, I don't know if you guys remember, because I spoke first, so it's easier to forget, that, at least from my perspective, and my perspective is not the perspective for all minorities, it is not the perspective for all black people, it is my perspective based on my observations in my own life and observations among other black people. Now, so keep that in mind as well. But from what I understand, how I understand the power of me is, more or less, the mural is symbolic of a bigger problem.
Yes.
The mural is not the problem. It is symbolic of a bigger problem, the bigger problem being a Europeanization of Christianity, a Europeanization of the church. I know people here have talked about the feminization of the church. You guys are familiar with that phrase. And so it's kind of like, is that whole the same concept, except now we're talking about things being on an ethnocentric level. A similar parallel would be kind of like how we have a lot of females deal with image issues. Because of the images they see on television, there's kind of like a set standard of beauty. And hence Dove's campaign for real beauty. Because this campaign for beauty, you know, you gotta have the little stick thin woman who looks, you know, like this one little set thing. But and also a lot of women feel this pressure, whether it be subconscious, whether they know they're trying to do it. I mean, you just hear women talk about this thing, and it's a similar thing versus minorities. Now, once again, I know I'm not speaking for every single minority, because some minorities just like, dude, will you shut up? You're not speaking for me, and I respect you, and like, because I mean, it's just reality. But I'm just saying, in general, it's a similar thing going on. It's kind of, we see this, and it's like, that's real beauty, you know, and this is real Christianity. Not just this mural, but just a Eurocentric Christianity is real Christianity. It's dominant Christianity. And I'm not saying that it's done from a malicious heart. I'm not saying that it's done with the intent to hurt anyone. I'm just saying that this is what it is, and this is what it does. And if this is what it does, if you love me, then, and you know that it affects me this way, then what do we do? I'm not saying, I mean, I've seen pictures of Jesus with a little towel, shirt off, ripped, bam, 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 black dude with some dreads, hazel eyes. You know y'all seen that picture. Yeah, you seen that picture before. He looked like a sex symbol. I was like, oh my Lord. I'm not saying that's the answer. I don't want that on the wall. It's nasty. But what, so I mean, so the response is not to paint them black. By the way, I don't know if y'all noticed, you black? There's people who in here who are not white or black. That's not the response is not to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because you made a good point. If we alternate them one, it's like, okay, we gotta have a Mexican one. Hey, why you gotta be Mexican? Why you gotta be Puerto Rican? You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm El Salvadorian. Hold on, I'm Chinese. You gotta have, okay, we're gonna have like a Jesus gang. And so that's not the solution. But I'm gonna shut up.
We're gonna let Rosetta, she has one thing to say, and then we'll take questions. So you can put your hands down if you're tired. We'll get to you.
I just want to say one thing, that, again, when you put racial characteristics on a deity, whatever racial characteristics look most like a certain people group, it kind of gives a sense of superiority. And if you don't fit that, then there's a sense of inferiority if you don't look anything like that. And I just want to make that. So putting up a black Jesus will do the reverse. Anyone who's not black will feel a sense of inferiority. So.
Is there any direct response to that statement?
Sorry, we got a lot of questions.
$5 says you're not going to call anyone away.
Thank you. My name is
$5 says they won't call anyone
works here. I like your and the young lady's point of getting in the way of someone's walk. My family is, my background is Lakota. That's Native American, indigenous people. For 500 years, we have been trying to convert a people. And this is a great dialogue. This is perfect. You guys are where we're going with Christ in this country. And you are if this dialogue is necessary. Thank you. Thank you. For 500 years, I and my family have been trying to help people receive Jesus, to see Jesus, the love that he died on a cross for. Thank you for this dialogue, because it's necessary. Are we perpetuating a culture, our love of Christ? Thank you.
I've been listening to like a lot of these different people people kind of coming with point and counterpoint. And I've just had one question through this whole thing. At the very beginning, we're saying that the approach we're having here is not going to be to tear down the mural. And yet the sentiment that I'm picking up from a lot of the panelists is that it would be really nice or even very helpful if we did. So my question here is, I realize we're dialoguing, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity for people to speak openly, and I do agree, more conversation, especially in like a forum setting like this, is very good. But I'm kind of a little bit lost on what exactly is our way forward here, because we're already saying two conflicting things, so that leaves me in a little bit of an impasse. I'm an art major, I come from the art department here, and so I obviously have a very different perspective and some vested feelings, and not the mural so much as what it is, but the mural for what it represents, meaning a step forward for arts, especially Christian artists, to move into the campus and start showing the world through Biola what we can do as artists. And someone had mentioned about how like it wouldn't be helpful if we added more murals because it would be like Biola covering up. I would like to disagree. I feel like if we had more murals, especially from different peoples of ethnicity, like, hey, as a Korean American, I'd really love to put my piece of my culture and my flavor into my art and bring that into the greater community. But I feel like having more murals, especially of this, would really help this conversation. And then we wouldn't have to become iconoclastic. We wouldn't have to destroy, but we could add and strengthen this dialogue and strengthen our community.
Forum, just so that we're clear, so that you understand why we called this forum, because I think it will help answer your questions.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify the purpose, because that's, a pretty big question. And the reason why we started saying about the purpose is not to tear down the mural, because a cause without a reason is no point. It's like to go and to tear down a mural and not explain people's point of view, it cancels out. And I think the bigger issue here was conversation. The bigger issue was, I feel the opposite, to refurbish a mural and not to engage people's opinions and feelings about the mural is a bigger issue. And we're not saying don't add cultural art on campus. We're not saying that. We're speaking specifically to a piece of cultural art that no one wants to call cultural art. I think for us to say that there are other cultural arts to put up around campus, we have to first identify that that does represent a culture's point of view of art. And nobody wants to do that, and I would argue that it is a European perspective of Jesus. No one wants to argue that there is a cultural perspective of Jesus, and the answer is not to put more Jesus up, but we can put more cultural art around campus. There's plenty of Eurocentric art around campus that it can deal with. We're specifically talking about the mural, but there's like 5 hands, and Aaron, your hand's been up like all night, and I acknowledge that, and then we'll just pass the mic around.
My name's Aaron. Okay. I think we're all kind of doing backgrounds because our backgrounds kind of do influence what we're saying, obviously. My name's Aaron Bailey. I'm a bigoted white guy from Campus Issues. Sorry, that's the only snarky thing I'll say. I promise. I'm not up here to be a jerk. A little bit of my background. I grew up around here in LA. I'm white, obviously. I need a tan horribly. However, my cultural background, if you want to make a distinction between what DNA is in my blood if you cut my arm open and what my cultural background is, I'm much more Hispanic than I ever am white. I grew up in a 90% Hispanic city. I grew up in a 90% Hispanic church with an Asian pastor who thought of it. And personally, just a little bit of my background, I grew up in a community where the fact that I was white didn't mean I was better than anyone. The fact that I was white didn't mean I was the same as anyone. The fact that I was white meant I'm the dirt on your shoe because I'm Chicano and you suck. Sorry. Once again, I'm not trying to be inflammatory, but that's honestly the background I came from. I spent most of my life growing up without any friends because no one wanted to talk to me because I'm the only weirdo in the room. I grew up most of my life getting cussed out, chewed out, beat up, and yeah, I'm not going to talk about what else. Because I'm a white guy. And that means you just come on my boot, man. I grew up in a church where the